what's your sort of career and what are you doing at this point in your life?
So I'm currently working in a psychiatric hospital for women, and that has a psychology component, as I did a BSc in psychology and I'm now trying to pursue that into a clinical career. So the women who are in the unit are 18 to 65 years old, but we have a ward where it's mainly ladies who were around 18 to kind of 30 years old, so younger women, yeah.
What are they in there for and what are the sort of biggest problems that they've had to deal with?
So the unit is specialised for personality disorder, so that's a range of symptoms and there's several personality disorders, but a lot of them struggle with self-harm, suicidal thoughts, things like that. I think largely, like a lot of the time, I think self-harm has come about it's because social media, there's a lot of crazes with self-harm now, so you're seeing it in a different light.
So their problems would be quite different because of things like social media and everything.
Yeah, I think it's largely trauma-based is what I work in, so a lot of the ladies have been through very traumatising things, and that has changed obviously the way they can carry on living their lives, and so we support that with the trauma kind of based therapies and things like that.
And what do you find is sort of the most helpful thing for them? What's your kind of role?
Just like be there for someone to talk to. I think if they want to offload any of like what they've been through or sensitive issues that they're going through at the moment, we're just there like to be confidential and to sit with them and talk, keeping them safe, like trying to make them realise that there's different ways of coping with things, kind of living skills that they can take in so then they can go and live in the community.
It must be quite rewarding then sometimes, even though it's tough.
I've had quite a lot of positive cases. It's quite a nice environment to work in sometimes, as you do get to see that scope of people's recovery, and the unit is kind of recovery focused, so you do get to see people who come in and they're quite ill and then they leave kind of well enough to live in the community again.
It must be quite heavy sometimes. Has that taken a toll on you, do you think?
I think with the job, I think anyone who works in mental health, I don't know if anyone will have experienced it, but it's quite open to abuse on yourself if you work in that environment, assault on yourself, and you cannot imagine someone having to go through an issue like that. They kind of say leave work at work, and you know, when you get home, just switch off, but it's a lot easier said than done. I think, yes, when I get home, sometimes you do want to talk about these issues, but obviously you cannot talk about them because of the confidentiality thing, so it is hard suddenly having to deal with such sensitive issues that you haven't had to deal with before.
I remember you doing a lot of applications to a lot of different jobs and just feeling like a bit overwhelmed with it, I suppose.
I think the issue with psychology, kind of the area I want to go into, is it is very competitive and there's not that much funding for the job, so basically you're in competition with kind of everyone who has graduated in psychology, which at the moment is a very popular degree to do. And I think, when you've applied for like 100 jobs and you haven't really heard anything back from them, you don't really get feedback on your job applications a lot of the time. So when you leave uni, I think you're kind of in a bubble, and you have to kind of be realistic about this kind of stuff. Even if it takes you a year or 6 months, you're not a failure for not getting a job straight away. Remain positive about the fact that like the opportunity will come. You just have to keep going, really. Be kind to yourself.